What do you? I would definitely consider us journalists. I mean, no one else does. I can't get my press pass at the field house, but
Yeah.
doesn't mean I'm not a journalist, damn it.
Yeah, so just prepare to...
It'll be great.
It'll be perfect.
Y'all motherfuckers don't watch us play throughout the year, to tell you the truth. I'm gonna be real with you, and I don't care if I get fined.
That train is off the track.
I feel like you can't just like jump through Neptune and be okay.
Just prepare to...
What the show needs is more dogs and bears and chickens and stuff.
Yeah, so just prepare to be awash in unbelievable goodness.
Welcome, Pacers fans. You are listening to the Undebeatables, your favorite Pacers podcast. Today is August 19th, 2018. You are listening to episode 330. Coming to you from Eugene, Oregon. I'm your host this week, the enforcer, John Harper. This week we'll be using the opportunity of a two-man pod to throw shade at our other analysts' preseason predictions. And we'll tell you the top 5 players in NBA history at every position. I assume after much arm wrestling, Rochambeau, and maybe a physical fight between us. Joining me for the cage match is one of our analysts from Indianapolis, Indiana. He's our in-house bartender, mixing up the drinks and the crappy jingles, Mr. Jonathan Coalson.
What is up, Pacer Nation? I'm so glad to be with you, Harper. We were trying to schedule our schedule pod, which is Jason's favorite pod. We can't do it without him. Tough to do that pod without our fabulous host, Joey, who keeps us all in line on that one. So instead, we're just going to talk about inane stuff, but basketball related, so hang in there. Top 25 players, top 5 players at every position is always a fun debate that you and I get into drinking over the phone. So we figured we'd do it drinking over a pod. Why not, right?
It's not drinking alone.
That's right. It's
I
completely
can
healthy.
see you drinking.
It's social. That was
Just a reminder, you can support our show every time you shop on Amazon. Just follow the link in the show notes or go to the website, undebeatables.com, and follow the Amazon referral link. Anything helps. We do appreciate you guys. All right, now to the meat of the show, my friend.
one of my favorite topics that you and I occasionally get into. In fact, I'd like
and
to
always goes awry.
Yeah,
Just to
I'd like
warn
to
the
briefly
listeners
mention
now.
that I think 2 or 3 years ago, you and I decided to do a two-man pod about the top 5 players at each position. And I believe that it was a 4-hour recording that I could not edit down to make sensible. In fact, I believe to this day it's our only true lost pod. I think we've recovered all other pods. So here it is. People sit around bars all the time, around living rooms, around dinner tables, and discuss who are the greatest basketball players of all time. A top 10, a top 5, who's the best? Is it Jordan, LeBron, whatever? We're going to break it down based on position. We're going to do it in order. So we'll give you the best player in order by position. We're going to start with point guard and go down to center. And we'll debate this. I would love to come to some sort of Quakery consensus as we try to do with things. Again, it might end up being a bloodbath, but I'm going to throw out the best point guard of all time to get us started as Magic Johnson.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah? Nobody really has any qualms with this, probably. He was 6'9". Basically averaged 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 11 assists for his career with 2 steals. He's got 5 rings. He brought basketball back from the brink along with Larry Bird when it was a crumbling entity in the late 70s. And, he has charisma and vision. Yeah, he led the Showtime Lakers, which are iconic. Yeah, I think that's fair.
5 championships, 3 finals MVPs, One of the greatest games in finals history at the age of 20.
What do you? I 26 points.
His ring.
He started at 7. He's got 5 rings. He brought basketball back from the brink along with tragically. He's got 5 rings. He brought basketball back from the brink along with Larry Bird when it was a crumbling entity in the late 70s. And he has charisma and vision. Yeah, he led the Showtime Lakers, which are iconic. Yeah, I think that's fair. 5
championships, 3 finals MVPs, one of the greatest games in finals history at the age of 20.
Yeah.
I mean,
he started.
And his career was cut short at that.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was out, and so he started at center. And what did he end up with? Like a 20-20 or something like that? It was outrageous. So I think he deserves this. And you're right. Tragically contracted HIV at kind of the height of his career, or maybe near the end of his prime. But is now owns the Lakers, so his life turned out all right. And he's like a billionaire.
Yeah, it could have been worse.
Yeah, so congrats for being the best point guard of all time, Magic Johnson. Number 2, I've got Oscar Robertson, the Big O.
I do too.
Yeah?
Indiana. We're Indiana fans.
We are.
No surprise there.
Christmas
Plus
Attic
he was in the
Titers.
news recently for selling his ring. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's bad. Sorry to hear that. He was notably very prickly. He was he was a perfectionist and notoriously tough on his teammates. But all of that perfection led him to the first season of averaging a triple-double, which Russell Westbrook has since matched in the last 2 seasons. But that held for a very long time. He was a winner at every level. He won 2 state titles for the Christmas Attic Tigers here in Indianapolis. He won a national title with Cincinnati Bearcats, and he won a title with the Milwaukee Bucks. So fantastic career. I'm glad you agree with me. He was 6'5". He was big. He could do all the things. He ends up with career averages of 26 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 9.5 assists, and a steal. So, not bad.
And shot almost 49%. So
yeah, just for good measure. So number 3, I don't know how you're going to feel about this, but I've already got Steph Curry there at number 3 as the 3rd greatest point guard of all time. Huh. The reason I do it is because the man already has 3 titles. If he stays reasonably healthy, he's going to shatter the 3-point record. I mean, even if he only plays 3 more years, essentially he's going to shatter the 3-point record. He's not on the top 25, even the top 50 of assists yet, or steals or things like that usually associate with the greatest point guards. But he's got 2 MVPs, 3 titles, and I think for me more than anything, he's changed the game. I think a lot of the guys that end up on these lists for me are guys that changed the game. Magic Johnson was the first 6'9" point guard. He changed the way we thought about point guards. The way that Steph Curry plays the game, he stretches the floor. We've talked about this before. Changes the geometry of the floor with his shooting. He can shoot from half court, and it changes the way teams guard you and allows everybody else to have more space on the floor. It may be premature since he's still in his career, but I think as of now, if he just hung up his shoes tomorrow, I think he'd probably be the 3rd best point guard of all time.
Before Steph Curry changed the game, the guy who perfected it was John Stockton. And he did it for a lot of years. 10-time All-Star, 11-time All-NBA, 5 times All-D. Averaged over 10 assists a game for his very long career. And that says nothing of his, USA basketball influence. He did it for a long time at a very high level. Not a big Stockton fan.
No, I mean, so here's the deal. I've always hated him. I think what was that? I can't remember this when we were in college. They did some interview with somebody and they asked who was the dirtiest player in the NBA to all these players in the NBA, and it was unanimously Stockton.
Yeah, and I think number 2 or 3 was Malone.
Right, exactly. And that's it's just not a guy I want to root for, and not a guy I want to put on this list. I understand that he has the most assists in the history of the NBA. I understand that he perfected the pick and roll with Karl Malone. Longevity definitely matters to me, and you'll find on this list that I use longevity to bump guys up over other guys. He had a really long career. Would you say 18, 20 years, something like that? 18 years. And very durable. He played 82 games almost every year. And you're right. He was a sniper from the floor. He was a maestro of commanding his offense. 0 titles, and that's a knock for me on that one. And he was a little bitch. So those things knock him off my top 5.
He's not even on your top 5?
Not even on my top 5. No.
John Stockton.
No. He's my honorable mention.
Wow. Okay. I would have him squarely at number 3. Steph Curry did change the game, but he's not. It's not because he's the greatest point guard. It's because he's the greatest shooting point guard.
Okay, he still plays point guard in the league.
I know, but if you're looking for the person who did that thing the best, it was probably John Stockton.
I know, but he's dirty. He didn't win any rings. I don't like him.
All right, who's next?
4, I got Isaiah Thomas.
So not dirty at all.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that his will to win got him a couple titles. When you talk about a guy that can orchestrate, when I was a young man, I was watching him play the game at kind of the height of his powers. And it was always very impressive for me to watch him play the game because he was, I don't know what kind of leader he was behind the closed doors because since then he's had a career as a coach for the Pacers and other teams. His GMing as the Knicks was a failed experiment. But on the floor, he knew how to get everybody involved, everybody on the same page, and he took over when he needed to. I just think, one of the things that also gets you on this list is winning. And he won, I thought, during a very tough era that was, in between the Lakers and Boston and the Jordan Bulls. And I don't know if there was a really gap there. They just carved out a gap there and made it their own because they were tougher. And I thought that team, those bad boys Pistons, in a lot of ways were driven by Isaiah Thomas. He ends up with 19 points a game, 4 rebounds, 9 assists for his career.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
14-year career. And you'll recall this. He freaking snapped his ankle in a playoff game and continued to play. It was just a tough son of a bitch.
Yep, tough, great competitor. He was all those things. He's number 7th all time in total assists, right ahead of Gary Payton and Chris Paul, who's probably coming for him.
Right. 5 was tough for me. I actually did think about putting Stockton here, but I left him off this list for reasons I shared earlier. Chris Paul, I think he's one of the best point guards of the modern era. Similar qualities to Thomas, except maybe not the killer instinct. Maybe he's most similar to Oscar Robertson, how sort of anal he is and prickly. Jason Kidd, but I don't like him. Steve Nash, 2-time MVP, 40, 50, 90 club, which I think only 7 players in NBA history have ever averaged 40% from the three-point line, 50% from the floor, and 90% from the free throw line. Just an absolute gifted passer and ran the 7 seconds or less. But I ultimately landed on Bob Cousy. And I know I've never seen him play. So it's hard for me to defend this too much. But I'm looking at his longevity. He was a 13-time All-Star. And I know, granted, it was a league with fewer teams.
Cousy won 6 championships, 1-time MVP, 13-time All-Star, 12-time All-NBA, Hall of Fame.
And, looking into it, it looks like he was sort of the first modern point guard. He basically laid the groundwork for the rest of these guys to do what they do. They say he was a magician with the ball. He was the first guy that would have behind-the-back passes and dribble between his legs and things like that nobody had seen before. He helped propel, was part of that dominant Boston team in the 50s and 60s. So, I don't know. I've got him at 5. It sounds like you want to put Stockton in the top 5. Do we want to knock him off, put Stockton there, or do you like Cousy?
So other names, Nate Archibald.
Sure.
Pistol Pete Maravich.
Sure.
Walt Frazier.
I love Walt Frazier.
And probably the guy that I'd have at number 5, Jerry West.
Oh, I've got him as a shooting guard. He played both guard positions, so he'll make my shooting guard list. Don't you worry.
Yeah. Okay. I'm okay. I can live with that then.
You're okay. So you're okay with Curry and Cousy, or you want Stockton in there?
Well, Stockton's number 3 all time.
Okay, for you.
Yeah.
Well, if I have to live with that, I'm going to put Curry in the top 5 instead of Cousy. Are you okay with that?
I was going to drop Thomas.
Wow.
Who's the better scoring point guard?
Curry. Cousy's got freaking 6 rings. Man,
Thomas doesn't.
It's weird to live in a world where Isaiah Thomas is not a top 5 point guard, though. He just was my entire life. I hate Stockton so much. Can we agree that let's do this? Let's leave Thomas on, but he'll be 5. I'll give you Stockton. Yeah, I'll give you Stockton at 3 if you give me Curry at 4. And we just lose Cousy. No. All right. Cousy at 5. Thomas is off. Is that better? Curry at 4?
That is better. I don't like Isaiah Thomas much either.
All right. Fair enough. We got it, though. But I feel, we came to some sort of consensus. We wheeled and dealed. It's good. Actually, can I have Curry since I lost Thomas? Can I have Curry at 3 and Stockton at 4? No. Damn it.
It's too soon.
Too soon. All right. He's still in the top 5. I'm happy to take that. I knew that one was controversial. I'll take it. All right. Fair enough. All right. So you heard it here, Pacer fans. Magic, Big O, Stockton, Curry, and Cousy, the top 5 point guards of all time, according to the Undebeatables. We are also speaking for Jason and Joey. They have no
they have no
option.
choice.
They have no option.
Exactly.
All right. Shooting guards. I think this one will be a little bit easier. Jordan, 1. I think it speaks for itself. Probably greatest player of all time. 6 championships. Unbelievable drive to win. Killer instinct. Jordan, best shooting guard of all time. Number 2, I've got Kobe. The man played 20 years. He patterned his game after Jordan, and he's got 5 titles. 3 of them you could say he got because he was with Shaq, but 2 he definitely got on his own. Yeah, unbelievable career, and the longevity matters too. I mean, 20 years. That last year was pretty miserable, but still. Where does he end up all-time scoring list? Is he second all-time or third all-time?
I thought he was third all-time.
Yeah. Is it Karl Malone and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Correct, yeah. He's like
then,
2,700 behind Karl Malone.
Okay. But, yeah, congratulations, Kobe, on a wonderful career. Suck it. Played in a different era a long time ago. He played for the Lakers as well. Only won one title.
Everybody played for the Lakers.
Yeah, only won one title, but he went to the finals every year against the unbeatable Boston team. Not literally every year, but almost. He was there all the time. He's the logo. He's literally the logo of the NBA. They called him Mr. Clutch. He got an MVP, a finals MVP on a team that lost, to show you how good this kid was. I think he still holds the title for third best shooting guard in the history of the NBA. 4, I've got Dwayne Wade, and I don't feel good about it because I think Dwayne Wade is a little bitch. But if you look at his career, he's got 3 titles, and is slowly amassing the numbers that make a pretty strong argument for him being a top 5 shooting guard of all time. Do you have thoughts about that?
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. It's not great.
I mean, Pistol Pete probably better categorized as a 2.
Yep, for sure. I mean, he's a great passing guard, but I think he played a lot of 2 more than 1.
I'd rather have Clyde Drexler there. I'd rather have George Gervin there.
Okay. Sure. Don't like Dwayne Wade at all. I love it. This is great.
I mean...
Let me throw out some other names at you. Allen Iverson. Changed the game in fundamental ways.
If he'd have had a longer career, yeah.
Yeah. Made it to the finals one time. James
John
Harden.
Havlicek, Rick Barry.
I've got Havlicek as a
He's a 3.
Yeah. He played both, but
Sam Jones.
How about James Harden? The beard. He's a hybrid point guard, shooting guard as well. He's got no titles, but he's got an MVP. And he can stop faster than anybody in the history of basketball.
It's just the most important thing in the Hall of Fame ballot.
That's right.
I mean, I'd probably put them in a similar place, but I don't have Harden in the top 5.
Okay, I don't either. What about pure shooters like a Ray Allen? I mean, I want to say Reggie Miller. I don't think he's a top 5 shooting guard of all time, but a shout out. What about
I just feel like this list is kind of weak.
what about a guy like Klay Thompson? I mean, he's got 3 titles already. He's going to get a lot of these 3-point shooting records, even though he'll be behind Steph Curry and all of them.
Yeah, but he'll be ahead of Ray Allen and Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
But he's not yet.
Yeah.
I mean, he's also a more well-rounded player than either of those 2 guys, but he just hasn't had a long enough career
Better
yet
defender.
to be a top 5 guy.
Sure, I agree. But he could be on this list. So you said you liked Drexler or Gervin or Sam Jones, which leads me to my Sam Jones argument. Sam Jones was the shooting guard for that 50s and 60s.
The most underrated player in the history of the NBA.
Yes, Celtics team. And did he win 8 titles? I believe that was the case. I love this quote from Bill Russell's book called The Second Wind, and I'm going to read it. And I think you'll agree that he deserves on this top 5 list no matter where it is. So this is Russell. Whenever the pressure was greatest, Sam was eager for the ball. To me, that's one sign of a champion. Even with all the talent, the mental sharpness, the fun, the confidence, and your focus honed down to winning, there will be a level of competition where it all evens out. Then the pressure builds, and for a champion, it is a test of heart. Hardened champions has to do with the depth of your motivation and how well your mind and body react to pressure. It's concentration. That is, being able to do what you do best under maximum pain and stress. Sam Jones has a champion's heart. On the court, he always had something in reserve. You could think he'd be squeezed out of his last drop of strength and cunning, but if you looked closely, you'd see him coming with something else he'd tucked away out of sight. Though sometimes he'd do things that made me want to break him in two. His presence gave me great comfort in key games. In Los Angeles, Jerry West was called Mr. Clutch, and he was. But in the 7th game of a championship series, I'll take Sam over any player who's ever walked on a court. So that's from Bill Russell, who won 11 championships.
He's the greatest winner in the history of basketball.
Yeah, so if he says he wants you on your squad, you're making my top 5. Sorry, that one's not up for debate.
Yeah.
So basically, we still have
I'm
a spot because we're dropping Dwayne Wade.
I mean, Dwayne Wade didn't even have a reliable jump shot. Like, he's a great player, but like,
he's got a great nickname, the Flash.
I mean, when there's two things that I think of when I think of Dwayne Wade. One was the 400 free throw effort that he had,
God, which made me so mad. They shouldn't even have had that title. That made me so mad.
That was, I think that was against Dallas. That was just ridiculous. And then the other thing was when he injured his shoulder and they had to take him off on a wheelchair. Those are like the two seminal Dwayne Wade moments for me.
Yeah, and he beat us a lot.
I'd rather have Reggie Miller. Like, he's not a great defender, but, I mean, he is arguably... I mean, he's top 5 clutch shooter of all time, right? I mean, at least prior to 5 years ago.
Right. You want to go Iceman, George Gervin?
I mean, we haven't dedicated Drexler to this list yet. I got Drexler ahead of Gervin.
Okay. Let's do it. So
10-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA.
Yeah. No rings, but...
Well, just the one.
Oh, he did get one. With
one
Houston.
in 95.
Right. Second year of Houston's rings. Right.
Yep. But 26 and 5.5 with 2 steals per game over the course of his long and illustrious career. And, I mean, everybody wanted to play with Clyde Drexler. To say nothing of an amazing college carear.
Well, and he
with
kind of...
Slamma Jamma and...
Well, he kind of loses out historically because he wasn't really the foil to Jordan that everybody wanted him to be, and that's not his fault.
No,
no
one was the foil to Jordan.
Exactly.
But
they
could have
played
been his foil, played at 3 on his team.
Right. They played Portland in the finals that one year, and he got kind of dismantled. But it doesn't make him not have a fantastic career. And
he did. And, he went to Houston and sort of slid in the Jordan interim and got his ring with a better team than the Trailblazers were. But he played 12 years with Portland. And, for a guy who could have gone someplace else at any time, I respect him for doing that.
Well, so there you have it, Undebeatables Nation. The best 5 shooting guards of all time, according to us. Jordan at 1, Kobe at 2, Jerry West at 3, Sam Jones at 4. Kids, look it up. He was amazing. And then Clyde Drexler at 5. So.
And since Iceman was probably our honorable mention, I'll just throw it out there. No championships, but 9-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA, 4-time scoring champion, 25-5-2, shot over 50% from the field, and he was named the Iceman. So
he was. He didn't really play defense, which helps you get on my list here.
Yeah, but he also won 4 scoring titles.
Yeah, because he could just put it in the bucket.
Because he could just do that.
Yeah. All right, Pacer Nation. Small forwards. When you and I did this 2 or 3 years ago, I think it was slightly controversial that I think we decided that LeBron was better than Bird at that point, but only barely.
We did, but it took us a half an hour of drunken arguing.
That's right. That's right.
And I think we were both arguing for.
Yes, but it took a long time for us to be okay with it because Bird, basketball Jesus, was the most gifted small forward for my entire life, and to have somebody take that over maybe took a minute, but at this point it seems fairly obvious. You put these two guys up next to each other, careers wise. They both have 3 rings. LeBron's already played 15 seasons, and Bird only played 13 with back problems. LeBron's got 2 more All-Star games. He's got 14 All-Star games versus Bird's 12. He's got 4 MVPs versus Bird's 3. Bird has 2 Finals MVP. LeBron's has 3. Yeah, I mean, it goes on and on and on. He's just got a couple more accolades in everything. LeBron has 6 all-defensive teams to Bird's 3. Their overall points per game, Larry Bird had for his career was 24.3. LeBron at this point is 27.2. Bird had 10 rebounds per game. LeBron only has 7, but he's Bird's got 6 assists while LeBron has 7.2. They're equal in steals and blocks. But for me, at this point, it's about longevity. LeBron just continues to do it. He's now got 10,000 more points than than Larry scored in his career, and they're fairly equal on rebounds. But he's got 2,500 more assists. They're equal on steals, equal on blocks in their careers. But again, LeBron's still playing games, and for me, more impressively, the reason it's about longevity and consistency. But LeBron has also done something that no one really ever has. He has gone to 8 straight finals with 2 different teams. No one has ever done that. There are only 3 players in NBA history besides LeBron James that have gone to 8 straight finals. And as you might guess, they are... 4. They're all Celtics from those 50s, 60s teams. Frank Ramsey was 6th man for the Celtics in all those years. He ended up with 7 titles. Tommy Heinsohn went to 9 straight finals with the Celtics. And fun fact about Tommy Heinsohn while we're here. Heinsohn is the only player who's been a member of the organization as either player, coach, or announcer for each of its 17 championships. And also all 21 finals appearances. So, shout out Tommy Heinsohn. Sam Jones, who we talked about earlier, 9 straight finals. And Bill Russell, 10 straight. So, you got to remember the Boston Celtics had... I think it was a 16-team league at that point. They had what we've already decided is one of the top 5 shooting guards of all time, and we'll discuss later one of the top 5 centers of all time. So what LeBron has done by going to the finals 8 straight years, especially with 2 different teams, is just outrageous. I think he deserves on this list as number 1 small forward over Bird easily, and probably puts him, at least for me, in the conversation, and maybe it's a different pod, need to start talking about him as maybe the greatest player of all time.
No, we've been talking about that for years, and we'll continue to do so.
Yeah.
It's not about whether or not he was better than Larry Bird. It doesn't even have anything to do with longevity at this point.
Yeah, he's just
the question is
straight
only
better.
Is he the greatest player to ever grace the game or not?
He's amazing. He's amazing.
So
and, 3 years ago when we did the Lost Pod, it was an argument. It's not an argument anymore.
Right, but
he's
we
better
were
than
already.
Bird.
I mean, part of the reason that conversation went so long is because we somehow it did flood into the is he better than MJ argument, right? Which is how we made our, how we sort of rationalized getting there.
Right.
Yes, he's a super durable player, right?
Yep.
Larry Bird always got a lot of respect for, his mentality and his killer instinct and all that kind of stuff.
Better long-range shooter, Bird was, but overall shooting goes to LeBron. So, I mean, these just...
Well, around the basket, LeBron is 10 times more effective than Larry Bird. I mean, he's one of the most unstoppable people driving the lane that the league's ever seen. His combination of size, strength, and IQ, never been seen before.
He's the size of Karl Malone. I mean, he's the size of a power forward, but he...
And every bit is physical.
Yeah, exactly. But he moves like a guard. It's just, we've never seen anything like it, and... outrageous. And I'm not willing to say that his three-point shooting, which continues to improve, won't end up being on par with Larry Bird's by the end of his career. I mean, this guy just gets better every offseason.
Well, he does. And one of the most underrated stories about LeBron James is not just adding something to his game, like the three-point shooting or what have you. He's physically changed his body several times over the course of his career. He's lost 20 pounds. He's gained 20 pounds. Yeah. He's done what his teams, or what he believed his teams needed.
He sleeps in like hyperbaric chambers and weird stuff.
He's Batman.
He's Batman.
He's definitely Batman.
He's Batman. Yeah.
Sometimes you can find yourself in the right situation. And the thing about LeBron is he has never found it. Like, even what he thought was going to be perfect in Miami, he thought that was the perfect situation.
Right.
Lo and behold, there's other people out there, and other teams happen to get better about the same time, and it wasn't what it could have been, And then there's the injury to Bosh. A lot of stuff happened, but he's worked his way through that. He's always been a reliable, if not Hall of Fame level team leader, and I mean, there's really nobody who's ever played NBA basketball who you can just say offhandedly just understood the game better. Like, there's just not. Yeah. I mean, he's an unbelievable physical specimen who has as high a basketball IQ as anybody ever met. And just to top it off, he's like a really good dude.
Right.
Like, he doesn't get that Stockton knock.
No, it's not fair, really.
And Stockton, to his credit, has been a great guy for his community. I get it. Like, I'm not just slamming Stockton, but Jordan. I mean, he's got sort of a fraught history.
He's a crazy
with the media and with humans in general. And Bird, Isaiah Thomas, same thing. I mean, that dude did some stuff after his career that makes you cringe, right? Larry Bird is about as clean as they come, but he's a crazy old white guy all the same.
Right. Yeah. No, this guy was raised in front of a camera. You think about these, what the kind of pressure of being the king, dubbed the king at 16 years old, what that looks like. And he has exceeded all expectations and probably doesn't get enough credit for it. Really incredible. So.
Yeah, no question he's number one on this list. He
could
retire tomorrow. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Agreed.
The first chance anybody gets, it's a wrap.
Agreed. And I think you're fair with me on Bird at 2.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a game changer. His combination of, again, I mean, he didn't have the athleticism of LeBron, but his combination of on the ball skill, shooting range, and basketball IQ were new.
Game changer.
And they were. And if he'd have had a longer career, he still wouldn't be as good as LeBron. But, I mean,
the argument would be...
He's awfully decorated as it is.
Yeah, if he had played 3 more seasons, we might still be arguing this. I mean, the thing is his career ended after 13 seasons, and LeBron's already at 15, still playing at peak level.
But also, moreover, like, he was injured for much of the time that he was playing. He's a warrior. He played through a lot of pain.
Do you know...
I got to think it's hard to take a accurate 23-foot jump shot with a bad back.
Do you know how he threw out his back?
I know how to throw out my back. How did he do it?
He was tarring his driveway in French Lick. Well, how does he not have somebody doing that for him in the off season? He's just tarring his own driveway in French Lick and threw out his back.
He's from French Lick. That's why.
Yeah.
And that's why you can't hate Larry Bird.
You can't. And I know that it probably derailed a longer career, but God bless you, sir. Keep drinking Budweisers and making those trade calls. You crack me up, my friend.
Never lose the rotary phone. It's the secret of all his powers.
That's right. 3 all-time. I've got Scottie Pippen, and I don't know how you feel about that.
No, that's just right.
Okay, good. He's probably the best defender. Maybe not just at that position, but of all time. He was the Robin to Jordan's Batman, but Jordan doesn't win 6 rings without Pippen. And when Jordan wasn't around, Pippen was an amazing scorer and still a complete basketball player, with scoring, rebounding, assisting, and defense. It's hard to think about Jordan's career without Pippen, but really basically what you did is you put 2 of the top 20 players of all time on the same team, and it just wasn't fair. That's why they won those rings, and that's part of why we think of Jordan the way we think of Jordan. Pippen belongs on this list because of all his contributions on those 6 titles, his ability to put up with Jordan and take a back seat, and still be an amazing scorer, defender. Yeah, I think some people might think he's too high on this list, but if you agree with me, I'm happy with that.
Scottie Pippen is arguably the second greatest defender in the history of the NBA.
Who's the first?
Bill Russell.
Okay, good call. Fair enough. We'll get to that, I guess.
We'll get to that. He's one of those guys, one of those handful of guys that you can put in a category with LeBron James for basketball IQ.
Right.
In spite, like, he was just a very smart guy all around. He didn't mind taking a backseat to Jordan's scoring. He didn't mind taking some of Jordan's heat in the press. He's a great teammate. Yeah. When he could have had his own franchise and written his own ticket, he didn't Kyrie Irving his way out of Chicago, right? He stuck around and made that into one of the most impressive franchises and dynasties in the history of the game. And he didn't have to do that. He could have made it so no one questioned him at number 3 here. He could have been number 2 here.
Yeah.
But he helped create the greatest player of all time. And I don't understand how he's not number 3. I mean,
well, it's funny.
Not at this point.
Yeah, when I think about the game and just sort of create prototypical players that do the things they're supposed to do at their position, Scottie Pippen is the name that comes into my head at 3. But he also makes up new stuff. He's like, hey, coach, I should be guarding 1 right now. Yeah, you know that, right? No, that's
Greatest
what I'm saying.
coach of all time.
I mean, that's what he was able to do. I mean, we watched it firsthand. You're right. In that that 7-game playoff series against Eastern Conference Finals against the Bulls, the Pacers, they put Pippen on Mark Jackson, and it threw off our offense for 2 games before he figured it out. Because
you can only figure it out so much.
Yeah, no, I mean,
even if you figure it out, it's still Scottie Pippen.
We still lost that series because of Pippen. It doesn't matter what else happened. Yeah, we missed a couple offensive rebounds down the stretch of Game 7. That series was lost because Pippen took on that defensive assignment.
Yeah. We put ourselves into Game 7 against Michael Jordan, and that almost never ends well.
Yeah, but also to his credit, he's the one who came up with that idea. He went to Phil Jackson and said, "You know what? I can guard Mark Jackson." And
he went to the greatest coach in NBA history
and said, "I got an idea."
Most people's, and said, "Hey, I've got an idea how we could win this series," and it worked. It did. And that, like I said, handful of guys that you can put in that IQ category with LeBron James, and like I said, he's the greatest role player of all time. Like, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Like, the skill set that he had, I guess. And the way that he played for his team and the defense that he brought and all the gifts that he had to be a role player, I mean, that's just a kind of selflessness that you don't see.
Right. Yep.
And
well, good. I'm glad
the game would be different without him.
I feel like real good about these top 3 here. LeBron, Bird, and Pippen.
Those are easy.
Yep, that was
It's going to get hard now.
Well, and you're right. And we're talking about 3 of the best basketball minds of all time at the 3 spot here.
And isn't that nice? That position especially seems to really bring in like the super high. You
got to be the utility guy, right? You got to do whatever the team needs. Do you need to be big and rebound, or do I need to be small and
and a
pass?
wing defender?
Yeah, wing defender, whatever. Yeah, it's great.
Yep.
I love it. I love small forwards. So after this, I currently have, and this might be a little premature, but Kevin Durant currently has 2 rings now, and I made a bet when he got drafted that he would end up with the most points in the history of the NBA, and I still think there's a real chance that that's the case. This guy is just an incredibly gifted scorer. He is 7 feet tall, but I think
he's still listed 6'11", by the way, which is just garbage.
It's garbage. But he's got the quickness of a guard, the length. He brings you everything defensively you want.
Is he a better shooter than Larry Bird?
Yes. Which is, I didn't mean to say that so quickly, but I think so. I think he's one of the most gifted shooters this league has ever seen. And he's got the size to show it off. I mean, in a similar way that, there are guys that have a slight advantage, like a Dirk Nowitzki, who's just taller than most of the players. Reggie Miller, for example.
He had a sweet stroke.
No, I know. But, you think about Reggie Miller. I mean, he was a 6'7" guard when most of the people were defending him were 6'3" and below. Like, Durant has the advantage of being taller than the people
It is a lot easier to hit a shot when you can see the shot.
Exactly.
No question.
But he's a fantastic shooter, got great mechanics. And when engaged incredibly devastating defender. We've seen him take clutch shots in the finals. He's already got a Finals MVP.
I missed that.
He's a 4-time scoring champ. 8-time All NBA, 9-time All Star. He's on his career. He's 27 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 50% from the floor. 38% from the range. Like the guy is special. I know that his career is not over, but I think he jumps a lot of these other honorable mention guys.
So the only really interesting question about Kevin Durant and the all-time scoring title, does he have the way that he plays basketball and the way he takes care of his body? He could potentially have a very long and healthy career. Right. So let's assume that for a second.
Okay.
But can he pass Kareem if he continues to play for the Warriors?
Right. Well, this is a good question.
I don't know if there's enough shots to go around on that team for him to pass Kareem.
You make an interesting point, but I would just like to say that last year he averaged 26 points a game.
That's with Curry injured.
That's true for most of the year. Yeah. You make a good point, but I also don't think he's going to be on the Warriors for more than 2 more years, so that's my prediction.
Well, is he going to be Scottie Pippen or is he going to be...
No, I think he's going to say, hey, look, I got my rings, now I'm going to go be Batman somewhere. It's my theory.
That would make me like Kevin Durant less somehow, even though it would be better for the league.
He doesn't really care if you like him. He is the Durantula.
Oh, I think that's just patently false. I think he cares a lot. I think that all his he doth protest too much.
Right.
So if we're going to talk about guys who changed the game, and Durant falls in that category, Elgin Baylor, no?
I love Elgin Baylor. He gets a bad rap. Because he was a crappy GM for the Clippers when they were really bad. I think that's the main reason he gets a bad rap.
Do you think so?
I think really it is. Because if you look at his numbers, they are absolutely outrageous. Do you have those in front of you, or you want me to look them up here?
Oh, no. We got Elgin Baylor's numbers. Okay. He averaged over 27 points a game over the course of his career, 13.5 rebounds. Still managed to throw in over 4 assists a game. But I didn't know this. This is interesting. Only shot about 43% from the floor, which I didn't realize. Played his entire career with the Lakers, both in Minneapolis and LA. 11-time All-Star, 10-time All-NBA, got Rook, I got the Roy. Never won a championship, however.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He left, I believe, the team mid-season, the year they did win. Is that correct?
Yeah, his final year was 1972.
I've heard that he left because he felt like it would be better for team chemistry. And if that's the case, if the man walked away from a team that he thought could win him a ring to help solidify his career, but instead cared more about the team winning than him, that matters to me. He also was the guy that sort of defined what small forward was, what the modern small forward was. He was doing the scoop shot and the stop and pop, and you say that his shooting percentage wasn't great, but he was sort of inventing what a small forward did as a scorer, and doing it at a really amazing clip at 27 points a game, and 13 rebounds a game, and also, I think we forget this is one of those bridge players, and he was one of these first African American basketball players that bridged a gap, and I think had a tough go of that as Oscar Robertson did, and Bill Russell did.
Sucked.
Yeah, and to think about how much extra pressure they took, they couldn't eat with their team after, how much effort and energy they took off the court, to kind of have the career that he had with all that extra pressure, and to be, sort of a vanguard for the position. I think he deserves at least some consideration in this top 5 for sure. He's got the numbers to back it up. The only thing he lacks is the rings, I think.
Well, so if he's the transitional figure, the guy who brought that to fruition was Dr. J.
Okay.
Arguably the first modern NBA basketball player. This guy played above the rim.
Yep.
He changed the way that we understand basketball.
Sure. Scoop shot.
And he was able to stand on the shoulders of Elgin Baylor and take it kind of to the next level. Right?
Yeah, he was the transition from the ABA to the NBA, with those two leagues merged. He was the guy that helped make that merge
played
possible.
with the Virginia Squires. Didn't know about the Virginia Squires.
I did not know about the Squires.
I love that they were called the Squires. I've never heard of this team, even though Dr. J played on them. But like, if you're gonna name a team, you don't name it to the guy. Like, you name it the Knights, right? You don't name it the Squires. Like, what is that? That's hilarious to me.
So
Dr. J played until 1987. He was the MVP in 80-81, 11-time All-Star, won a championship in 83.
Right.
Stats not as impressive
Right.
as Elgin Baylor's, 24 points a game, 8.5 boards. Still got his 4 assists in, but he did shoot over 50% from the floor because all he did was throw it down on people.
Right, just dunked.
Important. A lot of people think he was the first guy to dunk. He was not, but he is the godfather of GM. I mean, this guy made basketball exciting.
Sure.
And without it, the NBA would have failed before Jordan showed up. And he's got that up and under from behind the backboard that no one had ever seen.
No one had ever seen.
I mean, that's an iconic NBA image.
It is, for sure.
The guy, and Dr. J was just a great dude, and he deserves so much credit. He really does.
What about John Havlicek? He stole the ball. He's got like 8 rings.
He's Scottie Pippen here. Or I'm sorry, he's John Stockton here, right? He's the guy who took the existing position and maximized it, made it the best it could ever be, right? He played with Bill Russell. He played on those teams. He was where he was supposed to be. Almost 21 points a game, 6 rebounds, almost 5 assists, and kind of a role player.
Okay, fair.
He was everything he needed to be
Right.
all the time. Just a fantastic
So he's Pippen before Pippen.
8 championships, my friend.
Yeah.
8-time all defense too, which I think people forget about Havlicek.
Right. This is what I'm saying. I mean, he is Pippen before Pippen. I mean, and so on some level, if we're saying, longevity matters, rings matter, Durant's still playing his career, so let's leave him out of the list.
Who, Durant?
Yeah, he's not there yet, right? Or is he there?
Oh man, it's so hard.
He's got 1 MVP and 2 finals.
This is the toughest position.
Yeah, I agree.
This is the toughest position.
I agree.
Because the first 2 spots are like unassailable.
Right.
Just to get the other names out there.
Okay.
Dominique.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not in my top 5.
I know he's not on my top 5 either, but Dominique.
Sure.
James Worthy.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, you talk about one of the great role players of all time.
Yep.
He's on that list, but that's not a top 5.
I agree. And then probably Rick Barry deserves some mention there.
Sure.
Guys who may end up making this list, Kawhi Leonard. There's guys playing right now that could find their way up. Is Kevin Durant? Oh man,
I feel like if his career ended right now, he's probably 6 or 7. So I shouldn't put him on 5 yet. Right?
it's just so hard to leave Havlicek off the list with 8 championships.
Yeah.
It's just so hard to leave him off.
I think I'm going to wait for Durant to win 2 more titles with Golden State, which he will. We'll just leave him off for now. When we revisit this, he'll be on this list, but
And we'll give Baylor and Dr. J.
But where's Havlicek?
Okay, then we have to decide between Baylor and Dr. J.
I think so.
I'd take Dr. J.
Okay.
Elgin Baylor probably did more for the game and civil rights and
Right.
society at large.
Right.
But
And he has better stats.
and he has better stats.
But he doesn't have a ring, and he wasn't the face of the franchise. He was never the
God,
face.
I'm so
of the
uncomfortable with my own decision.
He was never
I
the
love
face.
Dr. J. He's a great dude. I do.
Yeah.
But Elgin Baylor did so much for the league.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Can I kick off Larry Bird?
no. Okay. Here's what we'll do. We'll do Havlicek 4. And
then a tie at 5.
Tie at 5. Dr. J
Tie
and
at
Elgin
5.
Baylor.
Yes. Okay.
That's such a cop-out. Actually, let's make it a 3-way tie with Havlicek as well. So they're all so those 3 get the last 2 spots.
Okay. I like it a lot.
Because if we keep hammering this out, this show will go on for another 2 hours.
I think this is probably the roadblock that we hit the first
That's
time
right.
around to turn this into a 4-hour show. This is probably it right here.
So okay, I've got the Undebeated
And then
Nation.
Durant is 7. Solid.
Yeah, solid 7. We're not moving off Durant at 7. But Undebeated Nation, I need you to tweet at us your thoughts. Help us clarify this. And if we get enough opinions or enough persuasive arguments,
Hashtag cop out.
we'll let you know on the pod, and we'll send you a T-shirt if you sway us.